Continuing with the big story tonight, will the flames of 2G engulf the entire UPA in case Mr. Chidambaram also gets into trouble on Saturday? Subramanian Swamy with a big smile on his face tonight. On the news are Renuka Chaudhary, Chandan Mitra of the BJP and the editorial chairman of the Outlook Group, Vinod Mehta. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me tonight. Now, predictions for Saturday. Predictions not just for Mr. Chidambaram. We don't want to preempt what the court's going to do. But do you think, Mr. Subramanian Swamy, that it's not just Chidambaram, not just Raja, but the government has a lot to answer now?
Yes, it's a collective failure of the cabinet. Of that I have no doubt. I only object to the Prime Minister being singled out as being responsible. We all know what kind of Prime Minister and why he was chosen in the first place. So therefore, it's a collective responsibility, it's a collective failure.
Renuka Chaudhary, collective responsibility, collective failure, since the entire process has been deemed unconstitutional and arbitrary. Therefore, the defense by the government of A. Raja can also be questioned now.
I don't see it quite that way. I do see that executive and judiciary and all, we are pillars of this democratic process. And we are the checks and balances of each other. So it's nothing, there's no ego in this where we will say this, that and the other. If the court in its judicious wisdom has said something, then so be it. We accept that. And you carry on with the business of the executive. Now, nobody is blaming the Prime Minister single-handed. It's the media that's making this hype. He's a fine gentleman. And I think it's time that we learn to ensure that decent people remain in politics. It's very easy to heap blame on everybody's head. And I wouldn't like decency to be a sign of weakness. I don't think it should be seen that way, and I don't think it should be implied that way. The judiciary in its wisdom has said something. It's a learning curve and it's a course correction.
No, but you cannot. Renuka Chaudhary, the fact that the Supreme Court has cancelled the licenses is indicative of the fact that the Supreme Court thinks that the whole allotment of licenses was completely illegal, 100% illegal. And
that's not for you to say just now, Arnav. We have to wait till the trial court comes out and says what it does. You have to go through the entire judgment. You have to read it to see on what factors they have said this. And there is also the legal recourse. No, one moment. Let me complete this. There is also the legal recourse that others will take. And so we have to examine it in its total matrix, not in isolated pockets that we are addressing as of now.
Well, I don't know what higher court there is than the Supreme Court. The fact that it has demanded auction also feels that the court feels that the auction was the right way to go, and the nation suffered a major loss by not going for the auction route. We are seeing reactions coming from Chandan Mitra to Renuka Chaudhary to the initial comments. Yes, Dr. Mitra.
Yes, I mean, I am flabbergasted with this line of defense that we still don't know what the judgment is all about. Meanwhile, 122 licenses have been cancelled and the telecom companies have reacted. They have said that they are upset, they are shocked, etc., etc. And Mrs. Chaudhary is now saying we have to read the judgment to know what it contains. I can't believe it actually. But I think there are very major issues and you have rightly pointed to them. The point is that, as Dr. Swamy said, this is the collective responsibility of the cabinet and the Prime Minister. No matter how decent a person he may be in private life, the Prime Minister has acted wrongly in this matter because he was consulted. Both Mr. Chidambaram and Mr. Raja jointly met the Prime Minister and explained what they are doing in this 2G allotment. And the Prime Minister went along with it. The Prime Minister defended Mr. Raja vigorously on the floor. I didn't interrupt. I did not interrupt. The Prime Minister on the floor of Parliament twice stoutly defended the policy and the actions of Mr. A. Raja. Now, after that, to say that this is not the collective responsibility, that Mr. Raja is the fall guy and whatever happened he did, even Mr. Chidambaram is absolutely squeaky clean, this is absurd.
The Congress wants to respond.
I'm sure the whole lid will be blown on
Ms. Chaudhary wants to respond. She has the right to respond. Ms. Chaudhary is responding to you.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I want to know, Mr. Chandan Mitra, that is so righteous. After all, this was a policy that was in place in 2003 when they were in government, right? And we believed in good faith that this was the process. We did examine other issues. The government did examine other issues and other ways of looking at things. And it was with the belief that something that is already established, go with it.
That's not true, ma'am.
If that faith, in good belief, good faith, if that has been interpreted as deliberate, then it's unfortunate.
But that's not
we
completely
stand by
true.
Saying that we accept what the Supreme Court has said.
Ms. Renuka Chaudhary.
And like I said, it's not something that for or against each other.
No.
It is collectively that we are working towards evolving what is relevant for today's time.
Yes, but today, can you
so
say
what
any
is
more?
This hysteria about?
Can you say any more you follow 2003 policy? Because that, your own government officials were pushing for the auction. Sindhu Shri Khullar was Additional Secretary Economic Affairs. She wrote a note on January 9th. She said in that note that the most transparent method of allocation of spectrum would be by auction. Your bureaucrats said that. Your government disregarded it.
So?
Therefore, the question is, since a cabinet decision of 2003 made it possible for the finance ministry to intervene in the pricing of spectrum. In case of a difference of opinion between the telecom and finance ministries, we have letters exchanged, Ms. Chaudhary, between the finance secretary and the telecom secretary, testimony to the fact that there was a difference. Why was this difference not taken to cabinet? These are some fundamental questions tonight.
Arnav,
yes, ma'am.
Since you are not running the cabinet, perhaps you will fail to understand the nuances of what happens within a cabinet, and none of this is deliberate. That is what you have to ask.
It never came up in cabinet.
If Prime Minister has defended it, he defended it in good faith, believing that what we are doing is right. Now, if it appears that what we have done is not right.
Subramanian Swamy wants to respond. Subramanian Swamy wants to respond.
I also want to respond.
After Mr. Swamy.
No, Mr. Mitra, you have responded enough. Now sit quiet.
Okay. Renuka Chaudhary has taken over the proceedings tonight. I would like to point out on that note, I just want one point, before you come in, Subramanian Swamy. A file noting by Subbarao is there, dated November 30th, 2007, which says no reply on why a matter with financial implications has not been referred to the Ministry of Finance. So this was all churning going on within the government at that point of time. Subramanian Swamy. Yes, please.
The first thing any minister is taught is that there is something called transaction of business rules. And the transaction of business rule number 7 says that when two ministers disagree, the matter has to be referred to the cabinet. Now, if Mr. Chidambaram disagreed with Mr. Raja or any minister disagreed with Mr. Raja, it should have been referred to the cabinet. The fact it was not referred to the cabinet was either that the two had agreed or that one was guilty of misconduct or gross negligence of duty.
Now, Subramanian Swamy, I have a question for Mr. Swamy. Mr. Swamy, I'm looking at the Supreme Court verdict, the operational part. Cancelling the licenses, it says, Mr. Swamy, please note. However, as the Minister for Communications, that's Raja, was conscious of the fact that the Secretary Finance had objected to the allocation of 2G spectrum at 2001 rates, he did not consult the Finance Minister or the officers of the Finance Ministry. Mr. Swamy, the question is, should this not be seen as an oblique clean chit to the Finance Minister? Does this not seem to indicate that Raja acted on his own, not heeding the advice of Mr. Chidambaram?
Wait a minute.
No, not at all.
No. Okay,
After that, wait a minute. After that, on 15th January, Mr. Chidambaram writes a letter to the Prime Minister saying that it should be treated as a closed chapter. At that time, the licenses had not been given. Only letter of intent was given, which has no legal status. The licenses were given at the end of February. And the ministers, the secretary, finance secretary, on the 30th January meeting between Raja and Chidambaram, brought this to the attention of the minister. The minister said, I don't want to revisit this anymore, when he could have easily revisited. The finance ministry note of 25th March 2011, which was a matter of great controversy, says that Mr. Chidambaram could have intervened at any time, even after the license was given, because Section 5...
There is no financial gain, there is no pecuniary gain involving Mr. Chidambaram or the Prime Minister.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether there was a pecuniary gain. It was, he enabled a few telecom operators to earn a huge profit. That is misconduct. That is Section 13 of the Prevention of Corruption
That is not commission. That the most, that is omission.
That is not a question of omission, I'm sorry. It is Mr. Raja, in fact, there's no pecuniary benefit for Mr. Raja itself so far proved. All that has been proved that he was guilty of misconduct, criminal misconduct, which is Section 13 of the Prevention of Corruption Act.
Vinod Mehta, is Subramanian Swamy going too hard after Mr. Chidambaram?
Arnab, I don't want to respond to anybody, I just want to speak.
Yes, go on, sir, please, sorry. Yes, sir.
Arnab, this judgment is a titanic disaster for the government. Because we thought that the 2G scandal had no more surprises to throw up.
Yes.
This judgment is really a bombshell, because not only does it cancel the 122 licenses, it virtually cooks Mr. Raja's goose, because if those 122 licenses are cancelled, then that Mr. Raja is bound to be found guilty in the trial court, because he's committed an illegality according to the Supreme Court. The second thing is that the noose is getting closer and tighter around Mr. Chidambaram's neck. And whether we like it or not, if Mr. Chidambaram falls, or if the judge passes any strictures against Mr. Chidambaram without allowing his investigation, he will have to go. There is a kind of domino effect. How long are you going to protect the Prime Minister? At the end of the day, the Prime Minister's alibi or defense was that he went by the advice of his Finance Minister. And he said that while he may have had some reservations, who was he to go against the advice of his Finance Minister?
Yes.
So we are now in the position that there is only one culprit, it would appear, and that is Mr. Raja. I find that very difficult to believe that this whole scam is the work of Mr. Raja, and that there was no one else involved in this scam.
Fundamental point.
It defies plausibility.
Everyone's coming back to that. I'm going to come back to you, Chandan Mitra. But this point, Renuka Chaudhary, answer this. Everybody is saying all day today that after 1 year, suddenly today it appears very clearly that it cannot be Mr. Raja alone. And therefore, everyone's digging up what happened in the past. All the evidence is being looked at. And people are asking fundamental questions. It cannot be Mr. Raja alone, they say. Everyone.
All right.
So Ms. Chaudhary.
What do you want me to say?
No,
what is it that they want me to say?
No, I don't want you to say anything, but what I'm saying, Ms. Chaudhary, is that, for example, details. Can you blame it on the TRAI? Today we saw Mr. Kapil Sibal blaming it on the TRAI. The TRAI, the Telecom Commission has the power to overrule the TRAI. The Telecom Commission was supposed to meet. The meeting got postponed. 5 days before that, Raja issued the licenses. Why didn't the Finance Minister or anyone in the government object to the allotment of the licenses in the first place on the contentious issue when it was supposed to be discussed at the meeting? Now we're going. That question comes up. For example,
letter of intent. Letter of intent, not license.
Letter of intent. Yes, sorry. Letter of intent. I stand revised. Question to Renuka Chaudhary.
Adnan, this is, the anxiety with which everyone is sitting to decry a government is quite amusing, actually, because you just wait. Why are you speculating on issues now? You just have to wait till the trial court speaks, and before that we'll need to look at a sequence of events, some which are apparent and some which are not. So you'll have to look at it. Even we have to look at it to see if something has gone wrong. We need to have to look at that.
No, but
prima facie, this looks like this, but we have to be able to see. It's a long string of people who are involved, and we need to examine that. So what is this? Frothing at the mouth at this point for us to say, why didn't that happen? Why didn't this happen? Thank God, we can't run the government as per what the media wishes that we could. I wish we could, but we can't. There are certain limitations.
Certainly.
So we need to look at that, and I'm just saying, bide your time. Don't what the BJP says is not relevant to me because they just keep talking like this and they're so desperate to get into power. That's a different issue. And they must remember why they're sitting in the opposition in the first place, and maybe that would help them better. But to say that, that the judiciary is...
Doctor,
I would still say that as an evolved polity, as a responsible democracy...
Ms. Chaudhary...
These are the checks and balances that come into play.
Ms. Chaudhary, Ms. Chaudhary...
Who's talking? Who's talking? I don't know who's talking.
Hello, ma'am, it's me or not. Ms. Chaudhary's simple point is...
okay.
Ms. Chaudhary, simple point is this: the checks and balances are also expected to be within the government, and there is a genuine view that Raja sort of ran amok in a certain period, and while he was running completely amok through the system, he was rewarded with a second term as telecom minister in 2009. While he was running amok, while he was not listening to the Prime Minister, not listening to the Finance Minister, refusing to listen to the Law Minister, the government rewarded him with a second term. And therefore, people are asking, can only Raja be questioned? Vinod Mehta, I know you want to come in, but Chandan Mitra wanted to respond to Renuka Chaudhary earlier. Yes, Chandan Mitra.
Yes, I wanted to, first of all, compliment Ms. Chaudhary for putting up such a brave face and actually managing to laugh, and also for her enormous skill of filibustering and completely deviating from the subject. But that apart, let me point to the gigantic conspiracy that went in. Look at, she was talking about sequence of events. Sequence of events, there was supposed to be an EGOM to decide this matter. There was pressure from the DMK and there was no EGOM. Prime Minister accepted that. Thereafter, as Dr. Swamy just pointed out, one after the other, Finance Ministry note said, don't do this. Then the Cabinet note, which Mr. Pranab Mukherjee and Mr. Chidambaram almost kind of came face to face, that clearly stated that Mr. Chidambaram could have stopped this if he wanted. So, obviously, all of them were complicit in this loot. And the Prime Minister cannot run away by saying, I am a helpless bystander. You know, if my Finance Minister says something, how can I overrule him? I mean, what are you the Prime Minister for? So if you look at the entire sequence of events, it is very clear that every level there has been dereliction. Complicit dereliction of duty, and in the end, Mr. Chidambaram, I'm sure the court will give a very appropriate judgment on Saturday. But ultimately, that collective responsibility and the Prime Minister is either complicit in this matter or incompetent and could not prevent it. I'm afraid the entire UPA edifice is responsible and answerable to the country for this.
1 minute. Vinod Mehta wanted to respond. Vinod Mehta, yes.
Now, I think it's very interesting if you think of the Neera Radia tapes now. And you see the kind of frenetic activities that went on in the DMK, in the Congress, to ensure that Mr. Raja got a second term as telecom minister. Heaven and earth was moved to ensure that he got the ministry. Now, once he has got the ministry, we are told, after all the Congress gave him the ministry, we are now told that this huge, gigantic, absolutely mind-boggling scam is the work of perhaps Mr. Raja and only of Mr. Karunanidhi, and there is no one else complicit. Now, in 2 weeks, we will know where if the trial court allows the investigation of Mr. Chidambaram. But I think that the 2G scam ball has actually started rolling now, and there could be very, very major casualties.
Such as what?
And the fallout of this, how does the Congress tell in UP that Mayawati is corrupt? That please don't vote for Mayawati because Mayawati is corrupt.
So you are saying...
And now this thing has happened. The timing is extremely bad for the Congress.
You're saying the Congress is on the back foot on the larger issue of corruption. Yes, Renuka Chaudhary.
Yes.
Bad timing, terrible timing for you in the middle of a make or break UP election. Vinod Mehta's point to you, ma'am.
I want to tell... And the electoral process is already on. Those who have fought electoral battles will understand what is relevant and what is not relevant. Perceptions are different from reality checks.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is that we are going towards elections and people are not going to be fooled either way. All right? So it's okay. We'll face this as we have and we will go forward. And we will discuss the same discussion after a few months. Maybe by March 10th
but that
or
will not
6th
change.
or 8th we'll have a discussion.
But how,
So
by then half the cabinet will be in jail.
It's not about
By
changing.
then half the
We are
cabinet
not
will be in
anxious
jail.
to change anything. Oh, all right. And then you will be supplying tiffin there. Wonderful. Mr. Chandan Mishra.
I would love to get the
Very
contract.
kind of you.
Yes. I'll send
I
my,
know.
my
You will
paper,
get the contract.
to them.
You will get the contract just like you have all your chaps. So
Well,
you can supply many things.
Well,
That's what we're looking for.
I can
But
only
the point
say...
of the matter is,
Yes.
I think this. I would have expected better from people like you who are on the panel, that we should be able to discuss this with some level of civility. To get personal and accuse people of various things is rather a stark statement.
Now,
while people watch 2G, 3G,
I'm sorry, what is
people also
personal?
watch this.
Who has accused?
People also watch
Personally?
this. And I don't think you are authorized to call the Prime Minister incompetent or anything, Mr. Chandan Mitra. Those are your personal opinions. Keep it to yourself.
Why?
Suppose we
I'm
all
a free
start
citizen of this
expressing our
country.
opinions about you.
I'm a free
I
citizen
don't
of
think
the
it's
country.
a good behavior.
You have never rested your tongue in calling people all kinds of names. I am only saying the Prime Minister is either
Please tell me
complicit
who
or
I have called whom.
And
You have to. You
come
have
on,
to.
Okay.
Who is it who I've called?
Come on, and I have a
you
full
have
right.
Now,
of what I can do.
The question is, the big day is Saturday. Gentlemen, 1 minute. The big day is Saturday. It's a massive day on Saturday. Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning, in the court of Judge Saini. A decision which will be taken, which will be discussed for eternity through the entire weekend and for longer. Now, my question to Subramanian Swamy.
All right.
Subramanian Swamy,
Yeah.
if you manage to lose the case, if the court says this is maybe at the most an act of omission, we cannot make Mr. Chidambaram a co-accused, are you prepared for that scenario?
I'm prepared for an appeal then. I'll go straight to the Supreme Court, because today the Supreme Court gave a wonderful decision. If they had ordered a CBI inquiry today, my trial court matter would have completely become infructuous. So I had filed that original petition when I was not in the trial court. And then there was such a long time elapsed between their reserving orders and delivering it that I thought I lost patience and went to the trial court and moved the matter. And I wanted to make him a co-accused. And that order has been reserved. Now, if CBI inquiry had been ordered today, then that trial court matter would have ended. So today, the Supreme Court in its wisdom, very wise people, these two judges, they said, no, we have heard, we have recorded Mr. Swamy's views, but we feel that because he has proceeded in the matter in the trial court, we ask the trial court to make the decision. Now the trial court I don't need the CBI inquiry anymore, because I've already done the inquiry and I've presented all the facts. Now, if Mr. Saini, tomorrow Justice Saini, says no, there's nothing in it, then I will go and appeal back to the Supreme Court and say that this is a wrong judgment. These are the facts I produced. They make out a clear prima facie case. But I don't think I will have to do that.
Well, if you don't have to do that and that's the way the case goes, then it's going to be a monumental Saturday.